Okay. Yeah, hi. This is Manoj Shah from Smart Outsourcing Talks, and we have our today's guest, Shahram, who is the CEO of Financial Sense. So, welcome, Shahram, to this third episode of Smart Outsourcing Talks.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, and just to introduce Shahram, he's a CEO of Financial Sense, and before to that, he was running a PE firm, Totality Venture Partners, and I guess he was funding a lot of SaaS companies and technology companies, and then he thought, nah, why not? I start my own SaaS company, and I, I think that brought you into the Financial Sense. Uh, Maybe if you want to, give us a little brief of about what you used to do before Financial Sense to our viewers, that would be great, Sharam. Over to you.
Yeah, definitely. So basically what you said, I started with a few people, an investment banking firm that focused on helping SaaS companies, so software
Mm,
companies, build, scale, and grow their business. And through that time, I had the opportunity to talk to hundreds and hundreds of amazing founders that built and grew companies. I learned what worked, what didn't work, and my family, like, they've always been entrepreneurs, and I always had the bug. And I was like, even though I was doing that by starting my own firm, but like, I just
mm.
love software. There's so much you
Ah,
can do with.
mm,
Um, you can reach millions of people across the world. You can really solve big problems, and it's just like a blank canvas. And we saw a
mm,
huge need in the market, which I can also talk about why we built Financial Sense, if
mm,
that's of interest. But that's kind of eventually it led into to that.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, let's start with that. What made you build Financial Sense?
Yeah.
That's a good
So
question to start with, yeah.
yeah, it is. I think, like, accountants, right? They're the backbone of the economy, right? Businesses can't run without their accounting. Every accounting firm has a business, and they power the financial side of every business. And
Mm,
it's a huge market. And I
mm,
spent a lot of time talking to accountants. And what I saw was, when I looked at the market and we talked to firms, like, these firms, they knew they needed to move into the modern age. They knew they
mm,
needed the certain tools to be able to keep up with the changing environment.
mm,
So, like, to talk about, like, a lot of CPAs and accountants are going to be retiring soon, right?
mm,
It's
mm.
really
Yeah.
hard to find talent right now,
Mm,
and the
mm,
talent's only going to get worse, right? And
mm.
so they need to find ways to find talent, which I'm sure we'll talk about, the outsourcing side of things, which is a great opportunity to do
Right.
that. But
Yeah.
there's also increasing productivity. And
Mm,
so how do you do these? There's like a lot of, like, practice management tools. And when we looked at the market, we talked to firms, like, they knew they needed these practice management tools to continue to compete, deliver their
right.
services, client experience. But there
Mm,
wasn't a lot of good tools out there for the everyday firm, right? There was the TR and the CCH tools, which are, for the big firms, but
right.
they
Mm,
haven't been updated in 30 years. They're clunky.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and there were some really powerful new solutions on the market, but none of them were really easy to use. So
mm,
we came in and we said, we want to provide something for the everyday firm. The firms
mm,
that need these tools, they can't afford, or the other ones are too complex for them. And that's that's where FC comes from. Is it's a powerful practice management solution, but it's still
mm,
intuitive and easy to use, so your team will use it. You don't have to spend a lot of
mm,
time setting it up. So
mm,
really just giving access to the everyday firm the tools they need to
mm,
continue to get their work done and scale their firm and really accomplish their goals. And that's kind of like what we saw, and that's why we built Financial
mm,
Sense, and that's why customers love us
mm.
today. Is we're that affordable and easy to use option, something that's doesn't take months to set up, right? That your team will actually
Yeah.
use. That's not clunky.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. In fact, we were very early adopters. I think, we implemented Financial Sense in FinSmart in 2020, right? So I think right in the year where you started, and I have seen the kind of a growth journey, not in terms of Financial Sense, but I would say in terms of the product and the platform,
yeah,
right? It has evolved from, what we implemented in 2020 to now in 25. There is a sea change, and I really like your methodical approach. Pretty much every feature that was coming, you used to put into the on your website, and we could see, okay, what are the changes that are coming. So it's really exciting times, so great. So Sharam, do you remember any particular story or any instances what made you actually jump into the practice management software?
Um, I think it was just when we spoke with like the funny thing is Financial Sense wasn't originally a practice management solution. It was like a financial
Okay.
dashboard to
Hmm.
help businesses make sense out of their
Hmm.
financials, which is where the name comes from. Um,
Hmm.
uh, the more we talked to accountants, like because it was kind of like a tool they could use to explain the financials and show the financial health.
Hmm.
The more we talked to firms, like that was a problem, but it wasn't like the biggest problem. And then when we started really talking about like, hey, what are the biggest challenges you're facing? And what we saw was the biggest one across the
Hmm.
board was
Hmm.
visibility. They
Hmm.
they didn't know who was working on what is the status
Hmm.
of work, or if they're meeting their
Hmm.
deadlines.
Hmm.
Um, and typically what would happen is they wouldn't figure out until the client called them and was like, "Hey, you didn't get my work done. Where is it?"
Hmm.
And they didn't even
Hmm.
know. So it's this awkward conversation. So um,
Hmm.
that was what we saw, was like that was the challenge that was so painful for them because they'd probably lose the client. They were embarrassed.
Hmm.
They're stressed
Hmm.
out at night, wondering,
Hmm.
"Wait, did I get that done? I have no idea." Um,
Hmm.
and we saw how big of a problem that was, and that gravitated us towards practice management. But also like the market changes, right? Like like
Hmm.
talent is getting harder to find. Like in
Hmm.
retaining talent is hard. Like everyone's poaching talent because there's not enough to go around, and like they didn't have the people. Even if they do a good job, they don't have the people to
Hmm.
deliver the services. So they wanted to drive productivity and
Hmm.
automate certain processes to deliver more work. And we just saw the market change. The demand was big, and the demand would continue to grow as the years
Hmm.
went on. And that's what
Yeah.
gravitated us. We wanted to solve a big
Yeah.
problem at the end of the
Hmm.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. And in earlier days, do you find challenge in terms of I'm sure you cater to a small and mid-size accounting firm, right? And they are already struggling with keeping the deadlines, keeping the dates. It's very difficult to find talent, as you said. So um, what were the key challenges in terms of adopting the practice management tool for the first times?
As like an advice to an accounting firm,
Yeah.
yeah. If we look at like the stages, right? There's like the initial research stage, right? And then
Hmm.
there's like the
Hmm.
actual adoption stage. And
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I think one of the biggest hurdles people have is there's a lot of options out there.
Hmm.
Um, and it's easy to get like that shiny squirrel syndrome where you're like, oh, look at this one, look at this one.
Yeah.
You want to look at them all. Accountants, they're busy people and they don't have
Hmm.
time to do that.
Hmm.
So what we tell people is first make a list of your deal breakers. What's important to your firm and what's a must have? And
Hmm.
then take that list and go to your community. Ask people
Hmm.
that are using the tools already, that have already done the research, and
Hmm.
share your list of what your must haves are, and then get recommendations. And that's a
Hmm.
really easy way to take a list from 20 to like your top
Hmm.
three.
Hmm.
And then once you've decided, demo solution to
Hmm.
really understand the little nitty gritty things to figure out what works best for you. Now,
Hmm.
that's like the selecting process, but like the actual adoption,
Hmm.
um, it, the biggest challenge again, fear is time. How long is it going to
Right.
take for me to
Yeah.
implement? I'm busy.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
if there's a profession that's overworked and worked hardest, it's the
Hmm.
accountants. And
Yeah.
to to say, oh, now I'm going to do all this work and implement a new tool is a lot. So what we've seen for best practice is start small. Don't
Hmm.
don't try to implement the entire thing all at once. Pick
Hmm.
the most
Hmm.
important feature set that or problem you're trying to solve. Implement that solution with your team, and
Hmm.
then adopt more of the product over time. So that way you can get it up and running quickly. You can get
Hmm.
familiar with the product and
Right.
you understand the product better so you can make improvements over time instead of trying to predict and do it all at once and turn it into this whole big project that never gets
mm,
done because you're too busy.
mm,
So
yeah.
start, keep it simple, start it small and
Mm,
grow into.
mm, yeah. And post COVID, that most of the firms started kind of a remote working, and they started a lot of people, a lot of firms started even offshoring and outsourcing and stuff like that, because when I see the data, the remote working and the offshoring businesses just scaled up from 2020 2021 onwards, right? So, do you think what was the impact of using practice management software to aid this remote team workers or maybe the offshore teams?
Yeah, I definitely think there was a huge impact. It was great, big
Hmm.
tailwinds for the market. And
Hmm.
even after post COVID, I think people realize it's still important, even if you're in the office, because
Hmm.
I think at the end of the day, like, like the biggest problems we're solving with the practice management solution is one, visibility. You know where
Hmm.
everything stands. You know who's
Hmm.
working on what. And the other
Hmm.
thing is collaboration, creating that
Hmm.
cohesiveness of the team. And
Yeah.
when everyone had to go remote out of the office, you couldn't
Hmm.
just have that osmosis of knowledge that you get by just
Hmm.
being around
Hmm.
everyone. You can't
Hmm.
tap someone on the shoulder and ask a question. You can't
Hmm.
walk into the room and pick up that file, right? You need
Hmm.
a way
Hmm.
to collaborate and communicate digitally across
Hmm.
wherever, like, the world or the nation or
Hmm.
the state or the city you're in.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
like, that's where practice management really comes in. It's that connective tissue. It's that heart of the firm. It's where you can collaborate, ask questions, you can access the information you need,
Hmm.
and that's important. Like, you need that if you're going to survive remote, and even if you're in office, right?
Yeah.
It still
Yeah.
improves that collaboration, that centralization, that organization. um,
Hmm.
100%.
Yeah. And in terms of implementation, so where the firm owners having a challenge in terms of setting up the workflows, or the templates, how to begin for the first client, and how do you roll it out, and stuff like that. So what were the initial challenges for the firm to when they look at rolling out Financial Sense, or maybe for that matter any practice management softwares?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge a lot of people has, and this kind of goes back to the point earlier, is like, maybe they don't have a lot to work with. They haven't really documented their processes. This is something
Hmm.
new for them in their team,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
maybe their team is resistant to change.
Hmm.
So for both of these, again, I think it's keeping it simple, because, like, if you start small, you
Hmm.
get your team to see that value without making it look like
Hmm.
too much of a hurdle and too much of an investment.
Hmm.
Then they're adopting more and using more in the system. So, like, and the same thing for, like, I think the biggest hurdle of practice management is if you're more focused on workflow, is
Hmm.
documenting your process. A lot of
Hmm.
people in their
Hmm.
head, they don't have,
Yeah.
like, this
Hmm.
is the way we do it, right? So
Hmm.
everyone's kind of doing it their own way, and that's the core of the practice management, is like getting those processes documented so you can delegate that work, and they
Hmm.
can follow it to get the work done and meet those consistent quality standards. But um,
Hmm.
it's I think the biggest challenge there, just in documenting your processes, again, is people
Hmm.
overthink it. Um,
Hmm.
they try to make it perfect, very detailed right away. They create this 40-page
Hmm.
document, all these
Hmm.
screenshots and SOPs.
Hmm.
Um, when Just start small, get something on
Hmm.
paper, high level
Hmm.
processes. That's a good foundation. Start using that with your team. As your team uses it, y'all can make improvements. It's a living and breathing
Right.
document. Mm.
Hmm.
Keeping it simple as I always say, is like,
Hmm.
keep it simple, and then grow into it over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you help initial adopters in terms of setting up the workflow or standard operating practices?
Um, so one big thing we do is we have a community-driven template library. So we have actually a template library with processes shared by over 150 firm owners that show
Hmm.
how their bookkeeping processes and their tax return
Hmm.
processes and payroll
Hmm.
processes.
Hmm.
You can go there, don't have your processes documented, you can go and see how other firms are doing it, get
mm,
inspiration for
mm,
your own process, or just use
mm,
it yourself. You can download Excel or add it to our system, and you now have a
mm,
fully documented process built by a real firm
mm,
owner like you. So we
mm,
really do
mm,
help with that.
mm,
Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, use what's already working for other firms, and then
mm,
customize it to your specific needs.
mm,
So that's how we help people, like, the process documentation. But the big thing, I think, like, after you have your processes documented, is being able to delegate that work, right? Assign it to a
mm.
team of,
Right, right. Mm,
they know how to do the work, and then tracking that. Like, did they get it done on time?
right.
Did they not?
Mm,
Where does it stand?
mm,
um,
mm,
and then in the collaboration. So, like, not just communicating, right, but
mm,
like
mm,
sharing the information they need very easily to get the work
mm,
done, and being able to
mm,
access that when they need it, and having it all
mm.
organized and centralized. That's key, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
it's not just knowing how to do it; it's
Mm,
knowing how to do it, when to do it, and have everything to do it. So it's
mm.
all that goes into it.
Yeah. And Sharam, I've seen that, I think last year or you started this with Workflow Con, right? So why don't you
Mhm.
speak a little about that? What was the genesis of starting the Workflow Con, and, what are the challenges you saw that made you start this initiative?
Yeah, I mean, so, like, going back to, like, the early days, like when we talked to firms, like, what was the real big challenge in their firm? What was the biggest thing they struggled with? And it was workflow. It was
Hmm.
missing client deadlines and not even knowing
Hmm.
it, right? Having those
Hmm.
uncomfortable conversations with
Hmm.
clients. It was struggling to document their processes. So, and if they
Hmm.
can't document the processes, they can't scale and build their firm because
Hmm.
they can't delegate work. Like, the work quality is inconsistent. Clients are upset. You start losing
Hmm.
clients. Your revenue starts to grow. Your referrals stop coming in. So, like,
Hmm.
those
Hmm.
workflow. And then when we looked at the market, like, there's so many great
Hmm.
virtual conferences and in-person conferences, but
Hmm.
and some of, like, they'll have a session about workflow, but there wasn't,
Hmm.
like, a conference or signature event focused
Hmm.
on workflow, which, again, is the biggest
Hmm.
problem. So we said, if this is such a big problem, it deserves
Hmm.
a lot of attention, and let's
Right.
bring the
Hmm.
best people in the space, the smartest people, the
Hmm.
things that people that are doing the great things with workflow and innovative and using the newest technologies and best practices. Let's bring them all together to share all
Hmm.
the best ideas on workflow, so people
Hmm.
can walk away and
Hmm.
get actual insights. And that was the other thing with Workflow Con is, we do it a little bit differently. It's not like each session's an hour long. We actually
Hmm.
purposely make it shorter to
Okay.
distill down it into actionable insights, and it's not a fluffy
Hmm.
presentation. We talk high level. It's like, here's the thing you can take
Hmm.
and implement in your firm. So
Hmm.
focus on workflow, but make it actionable. Bring the smartest
Hmm.
people together. That was the kind of things we want to help people solve, this workflow problem. And how do we do that? Right?
Hmm.
Let's give it some
Hmm.
attention. Let's focus on bringing the people together, and let's have a good time while we
Hmm.
do it too.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very good initiative. In fact, at FinSmart Accounting, where um, lot of times, like our 80% of the clients would use one or the other practice management softwares. Okay. um, Many of a time, firm, when they come on board with us, and then when we see that they don't use any practice management softwares, then we suggest that, because when you are, dealing with the remote teams, when you are dealing with the, offshore teams, it is extremely important to have that visibility, which you talked about, right? That, what is going to be accomplished. So this is one part of it. Secondly, when you start looking at the efficiency, right? And when you have the workflows, and then you put a budgeted number of hours, and then your team logs in the actual number of hours, then you know that where you stand, in terms of the efficiency of the resource, and how many hours gets delivered, right? uh, in many of our times, when the firm comes to us, and they don't have uh, practice management, we suggest them, and then over a period of time, they build on, right? So I think this workflow, most firm owners struggle with the, having the right workflows, and we have helped many to, build up, because today we have a lot of end clients, and we are sitting on the plethora of industries, so we pretty much understand, the specialty of, having the workflow for that particular industry, and we really help them. So I think having this workflow con where people could just attend and, get the actionable, that's just a great. Shara, moving to the, other side of the story, that in fact, I'd seen one LinkedIn post of yours probably a month or 2 months back, and I was happy to know that your firm is fully remote, and probably you all met for the first time after 2 years or something, or maybe 3 years. And we just saw that post, and then, in fact, we thought that we should invite you to talk more about that. So uh, could you just talk a little about, how did you create this firm where like everybody was remote, right? So, and what were the challenges that you really faced in creating this remote first form?
Yeah, remote is what we've always been. We
Mm,
believe in remote first company, and I love it, right? It gives us flexibility, but I think the biggest thing is like you can really pick the best talent. You're not restricted by your geographic location.
mm,
Um, but it does come with challenges, right? Like it's amazing. Like we can work flexible hours. Like you know, we can travel while we work. We get the best people. But I think the biggest challenge with remote is the
mm,
connectivity, right?
mm,
And maintaining culture. And I think you can build an
mm,
amazing culture remote. Like we've
mm,
done that.
mm,
I feel very strongly about. But it's a lot harder to do than when you're going and doing it remote. But in that
mm,
connectivity, like um, it require you to make remote work. You have to have the right people, you have to have the right processes, and you have to build
mm,
the right culture, and it's not easy to do.
mm,
But yeah, building remote is, I wouldn't
mm.
have it any other way.
How do you build the connectivity when you're working with people across the time zones, or maybe East Coast, West Coast, or maybe somebody out of country as well, right?
Yeah, I think to build connectivity, one is it's kind of like we were talking about with the firms. You need that single source of truth. You need
Mm,
that place where your team can collaborate on work. You need that place where you can communicate. So, like, we use Slack, we use Notion, and everything is stored in all these different places. But like, it's also like your operating cadence.
mm,
So I don't know if you use an operating. We use EOS, but
mm,
it's an operating model for a lot of businesses, and
mm,
basically it's designed to keep everyone aligned and focused.
mm,
And so,
mm,
like we
mm,
have our annual meeting where we talk through,
mm,
hey, what's important for the year, what do we want to
mm,
accomplish, then every
mm,
quarter, we also sync to talk about our quarterly rocks and goals for each quarter. And then every
mm,
month, sync. And the
mm,
quarterly rocks and goals line up to the annual goal. And then every month, we update our progress on the quarterly goals. And then every week, we go through like
mm,
all the actual things we need to do on a weekly basis. And it keeps everyone like short term, like actions, but it all
mm,
rolls up to the annual focus. And that keeps everyone aligned and focused
mm,
because, like,
mm.
remote or in office, the biggest problem you can have is people don't truly understand what is important. Why are we
Yeah.
doing what we're doing every
Mm,
day?
mm, mm,
You need to keep everyone aligned and having a good operating rhythm on like a weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis, but then also having
mm,
that place where everything lives and the
mm,
collaboration happens.
mm,
That's how you create the connectivity. A culture is different, but that's
mm.
where I would say like that's how you create the connectivity.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you build the culture when you are remote, because you get a very few chances to actually connect with the people, right? Because, and then when you do not spend really enough time with the team who are spread across, how do you actually build a culture Can you share some of your experiences and how you've done that?
Yeah. So some small things we've done, right? Like we do weekly socials on Zoom, and this was one like at first I struggled with. I was like, can you really do a social on Zoom? Is this going to be weird? um, but it's actually become the thing people love the most. Right? People are
Is
like,
it?
I never miss
Mm,
a weekly social. Like, and
mm,
we'll get on. Maybe we'll play like fishbowl, like which is like a kind of like a charades type game.
mm,
Um,
mm,
we'll play. There's actually a lot of apps out there. I think we use Weave, where they'll
mm,
host a social like a trivia for us. We do it once a week, right? And everyone
mm,
loves the socials. That's where it's not about work. It's just about let's have fun and get to know each other. Maybe we'll play like never have I ever, right? Like we'll just throw random games out there
mm,
to really just get to know each other better. Um,
mm.
we also do something which is in between the socials. It's called
Mm.
Donut, and it's a
Okay.
Slack collaboration tool.
Mm, mm,
And what it does is it creates a channel, and
mm.
every few days it drops in like a question, right?
Okay.
And like for example, like one question we had the other day was, uh, if you had to choose, would you choose eating out of a bowl or a plate for the rest of your life, right? And it's funny. It starts this conversation like, well, is a bowl technically a plate, or is a plate like, or is the question was like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And it starts these like just debates about random topics that we can just have
Mm,
fun and not take ourselves too seriously.
mm,
So those are two little things, right, that have been great for like keeping us connected as people. Um,
mm,
but I truly think the most important thing in culture is not. Oh, and we also do the annual social. So we
okay.
trip. We every year we take everyone. We try to
Mm,
get everyone across the world together, like in another country, for
mm,
like a few days, like just to hang out and
mm,
have fun. So we're actually
mm.
going to Portugal in a few weeks. We're excited about
Okay.
that.
Mm, mm,
Um, that's great, but
mm,
that's that's not the core of culture in my mind, right? It's great to
mm.
have the connectivity, but to really
Yeah.
build culture, um,
Mm,
you need trust and transparency,
mm,
and you have to create that. So people need to feel like, I mean, they need to be able to be heard. You need to understand.
mm,
They need to feel like, hey, we're in this together, and you need to create that. And so like one big thing we do is we're very transparent, and that radical
mm,
transparency is one of our core values. So,
mm,
um, like every conversation I have with someone that I work with that's under like my managers, I always ask them, what do I need to keep doing? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start
mm,
doing? Tell
mm,
me. I want you to disagree with me if you feel I'm wrong. I want to hear
mm,
your opinion because again,
mm,
I may not have the best ideas, and I want them to do the same with the people they work with, right? Um,
mm, mm,
and not only does that truly help the best ideas bubble up to the top, it's not one
mm,
person with one point of
mm,
view, it's a bunch of different point of views. You're really creating the best solution through that
mm,
collaboration. But everyone
mm,
also feels like they're a part of this, right? Because they actually have an input in what we're doing, and they're not just being told what to do. Like
mm.
they're they may be it may not be their decision at the end of the day. Like we may go a different
Mm.
route, but at least
Sure.
we evaluated their
Heard them
opinion,
out. Yeah. Mm,
and they understand why we didn't go with it. And but we're always doing what's best for the company. But the thing is, to be able to do that, you have
mm,
to have trust too. So you have to
mm,
build that trust, and that comes through those
mm,
social events. That comes
mm,
through treating people right. Um,
mm,
and like we call it healthy conflict. We want a
mm.
little bit of conflict. We don't want
Okay.
it to be
Mm,
everything's all roses,
mm,
because then you're not talking about the problems and nothing's getting solved, and you're just kind of sweeping
mm.
everything under the rug. It's harboring
Yeah.
feelings. You
Mm,
need to be able to be like, hey, I disagree with that, and this is
mm,
why. And they can say
mm,
that to a superior, they can say it to me, and then we have a healthy discussion like, well, let's talk this through. I could be wrong,
mm,
and let's come
mm,
to the best solution. And that is the core of culture, is
mm,
trust, transparency, like
mm,
like everyone's a part of the discussion and everyone's involved, and then
mm,
everything else kind of falls around that.
mm. Yeah, I love that word, healthy conflict. Yeah. so,
Yeah.
so that's good. Yeah. And how do you onboard your team? What's the strength of financial sense right now in terms of people?
We are 33 people, I think, at this point.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
so how do you actually onboard people and then, mm, get them brushed into your way of doing things?
yeah, so we have a process. Like, so we use Notion to document our processes. We don't
Hmm.
use financial systems. We're not accountants. I wish we could. But, yeah, we have our processes documented in Notion, and it's
Hmm.
basically, we go through this checklist of onboarding people. But one of the things
Hmm.
we do,
Hmm.
because our biggest core value is customer obsession,
Hmm.
and it's just religiously asking, getting feedback from our customers and understanding how we can do things better, not just
Hmm.
product but
Hmm.
services and
Hmm.
processes.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
a key part of our onboarding is customer training, and
Okay.
they they read all of our reviews online, what people love and hate about the product, right?
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
they rewatch customer interviews.
Hmm.
We ask them to interview other customers. We ask them to sit in on live demos and see what customers, how they talk about the problems, how FC solves those problems.
Hmm.
And ultimately, they can't graduate that product training. They have to do a demo.
Hmm.
They have to demo the product to me and their
Hmm.
manager as if
Hmm.
as I was an accountant. And
Hmm.
if they don't do a good job, then we make them do it again. And the goal there is they truly understand the needs of our customers, the problems they have,
Hmm.
and how we solve them. Because
Hmm.
it doesn't matter where you sit, whether you're
Hmm.
dev, whether you're in
Hmm.
marketing, whether you're in
Hmm.
sales, whether you're in
Hmm.
product or customer support, the better
Hmm.
you understand the customer, the better you're going
Hmm.
to be at your job. Um,
Hmm.
so that's a big part of our onboarding process. But
Hmm.
once
Hmm.
they do that, we kind of throw them in the fire. We have ideas on how to do things,
Hmm.
but we have to throw them in early. Once they got an understanding
Hmm.
of the customer, the problems, what we do, and how it works, we throw them in,
Hmm.
and they learn as they go, and
Hmm. Hmm.
they learn fast, and
Hmm.
that's how they
Hmm.
also they take ownership, right? And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
own the role, and that also creates culture as well because
Hmm.
it's something they're
Hmm.
passionate
Hmm.
about.
Right, right. And your large part would be into the customer success, right? Your large part of the team would be into the customer success.
Yeah, yeah. Right now, our customer success team is our biggest team.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Uh, how do you, I'm sure that, people are spreaded and they are remote. So um, there is a good amount of flexibility, but sometimes, you need to speak to the people. Sometimes they just need to, they might have some frustrations developed, by talking to the customers and, stuff like that. So how do you actually, do you use any kind of formats or processes where, how do they vent out their frustration, or how they do talk to the teams and stuff like that? Because when you are sitting in an office, it's very easy.
Mhm.
When you are sitting remote and you are alone, so you get frustrated about a lot of things. So how do you solve that?
I think the biggest thing is it's just having that conversation. So we do something called quarterly conversations, and
Hmm.
it's not really a performance review. It's an informal conversation. So each manager has with someone on the staff, and they say, "Hey,
Hmm.
this is what you're doing great at. This is not what you're
Hmm.
doing great at." But
Hmm.
also, I want to know as a manager, what am I good at? What am I not good? Where can I
Hmm.
improve too?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it gives us what are the challenges right now? Is there anything that's causing friction for you or that's
Hmm.
upsetting you that we need to improve on? Um,
Hmm.
and it's just and being very clear, like, hey, it's okay. Like,
Hmm.
if you have something I don't want to hear, I want to hear it, because if you don't tell me, it's going to keep happening, right? Like, you
Hmm.
have to
Hmm.
be transparent. So that culture of transparency, um,
Hmm.
and then we do surveys with our
Hmm.
team every now and then, like,
Okay.
hey,
Hmm.
anonymous,
Hmm.
like, like, what are the things we should again keep doing, start doing, stop doing? What
Hmm.
recommendations can we do? How can we help you be
Hmm.
more successful? Are you satisfied
Hmm.
in your role? to help us like
mm,
keep a heartbeat on. We do those every month, I believe. Just keep a heartbeat on everything. Um,
mm,
but
mm.
does that answer your question?
Yeah. So, yeah, in a way, but ideally, um, do the reporting managers are in a must be in a
Mm,
communicative, more communicative with their team members to look, as to how things are moving, and maybe uh, they would communicate more in terms of one-on-one, because one too many might not happen, right? Uh, is there any format between the teams as well to meet up on a daily basis or maybe on a weekly basis?
it depends on the team.
Hmm.
So, like with the managers that report to me,
Hmm.
I meet with them on a weekly basis, and we do it all on
Okay.
Monday. I
Okay.
purposely only have one meeting a week
Hmm.
because one, just to save my time, but two, um, it empowers them. I think, like if
Hmm.
we met multiple times a week, like
Hmm.
they would come to me for answers. But if I meet with them once a week, it's like, hey, let's check in. These are the things we talked
Hmm.
about. You're going to get done. You get them done,
Hmm.
but also like
Hmm.
any questions. And
Hmm.
if they have something that comes up Wednesday and they know we're not going to meet till next Monday, it kind of forces
Hmm.
them to like, well, let me see if I can solve this myself,
Very
right?
good.
So
Yeah.
it kind of
Hmm.
empowers them to kind of
It
make those
empowers
decisions.
them to be more independent and stuff like that. Yeah. Great.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
so same thing with the most of the other teams. Some departments are a little bit different. Like the sales team, they
Hmm.
meet every day. They do,
Hmm.
but it's like a 15-minute stand up, just like
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
the status of things. Do you need help on anything?
Hmm.
Um, the same with the onboarding teams because they're just on like, hey, is there any
Yeah.
blockers? Because it
Hmm.
requires that. But
Hmm.
we, we like to keep at least a weekly
Hmm.
cadence.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and with EOS, we also have a weekly scorecard.
Oh,
So
okay. Hmm.
everyone owns a number is like a
Hmm.
thing we
Hmm.
have. So what
Hmm.
is the thing they need to be doing every single week to be successful in the role? And we track those numbers.
Hmm.
And then it's just, hey, you're doing great. Good. If you're off track, let's talk about why. Is there a reason? Are
Hmm.
we doing something wrong? Like,
Hmm.
do we need to
Hmm.
help you kind of get to where you need to be?
Hmm.
Is there something you need to improve on? Like, so we do weekly scorecards that kind of impact
Hmm.
our long-term
Hmm.
goals.
Hmm. Sure. So I think this was good conversation. I mean, we got a lot of growth into how to run and, in fact, big remote teams, right? So that's great. Coming back to Sharam, to the uh, to the product side of it. So what do we see? What new things are coming? In terms of financial sense as a product. What new initiatives are you bringing in?
Yeah, so the biggest new thing we released recently is the billing and proposals module. So
Hmm.
we had all the work and work in our system, right, and the collaboration in our
Hmm.
system, but
Hmm.
we saw a need for bringing in billing to streamline the invoicing process and proposal
Hmm.
process.
Hmm.
And also, like by tying it with the work, you get better insights into work profitability, team member profitability. So it's just
Hmm.
deeper insights and better automations to streamline just the entire process, save you time and money, basically.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but the big focus, I think, for the rest of the year is three things. It's reporting, so just more insights, so you can better manage your team, your capacity,
Hmm.
productivity as
Hmm.
like a manager or an owner.
Hmm.
Two is collaboration.
Hmm.
Like we talked about collaboration is key, like for
Hmm.
productivity. So we really want to go deep in how can we make it easier to collaborate and communicate and keep all that organized on the work.
Hmm.
Um, and then three is client experience.
Okay.
So the main reason work does not get done at accounting
Hmm.
firms is not
Hmm.
because teams just didn't do it. It's because the clients didn't send them the information they need. The team doesn't
Hmm.
have what they need from the clients to get the work done. That's why there's a backlog of several months of bookkeeping statements typically.
Hmm.
Um, so we want to double down on the client portal side of things that we offer and make the client experience 10 times better than any other portal out there. So people get their
Hmm.
documents so much faster so it doesn't block their work. And when you create a really good client experience, the clients are happier, they send you the information better, you keep them longer, and it just sets our team up for better sustainable long our firms up for better client healthier clients and better like
Mm,
help them really build a firm and retain those clients and drive revenue. So
mm,
those are the big three things: is portal, team
mm,
collaboration, and reporting.
mm.
Like that's where
Correct.
we're going a lot.
Mm, that's great. So, Sharam, I'll come to the final question as to, would you like to tell our viewers a little more about, maybe for final piece of advice on, how do you cultivate, um, the remote environment in the accounting firms, so how do you promote that? Because, more and more teams are going remote, more and more team are having, offshore teams and outsourced teams, so how do you really create this cohesive environment?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, nothing else works if you don't have this, right? Is at the end of the day, if you want to build a remote company, remote firm, or have remote employees, the number one thing you have to have is trust. You need to be able to trust that even though they're not
Hmm.
in the room with you, that they're going to
Hmm.
get the work done. Um,
Hmm.
but you can't just blindly trust people.
Hmm.
So how do you build that trust? And you build that by documenting your processes so you know they have the tools to get the work done as if you were to do it yourself, so that helps you trust. And then also creating the space for you to work together and collaborate so you can trust
Hmm.
and see, is the work being done, where does I have the visibility to know like where everything stands. I can ask questions or check in on the work, but I also
Hmm.
know at the same time you have the tools to get this stuff done. So you need to establish trust. How do you do that? You create a single source of truth. You implement a work hub, like financial sense if you're an accounting firm, and
Hmm.
you document your processes. Um, those are that's the key to making the
Yeah,
remote world work.
I think this is nicely summed up, Sharam. So thank you so much for having this conversation, and we're happy to have you here. So thank you so much, and we look forward to more such sessions in the future.
Yeah, this is fun. Thanks for having me. And yeah, really excited.
Yeah, thanks so much.